Right. So you actually are, you being a living person, are going and you
I'm
are
hungry. I need
invading.
snackies, okay? I need snackies, and I hook myself up to a woman to get snackies. Why am I not allowed to do that? You say
Right. That's
fetus can
not
do
the
that.
same. That's not the same
It's
thing as
exactly the
pregnancy.
same.
Well, hello and welcome everyone. For those of you watching, this is actually the first debate hosted on this channel, which is very exciting to be a part of. Before we begin, I'm the moderator. My name is Nathan, and just a little bit about myself. I run a small Lego YouTube channel called Sawyer Studios, where I mainly produce Lego content, but I also dabble in the occasional theology and philosophy. I'm honored that James has invited me to moderate this debate, so thank you, James. That being said, allow me to introduce the candidates. So first we have Mr. James Weigel, who will be making the positive case towards abortion being ethically and morally wrong. If I'm correct on that, he'll be supporting that position. Um, on the other side, we have Alec Gunter from his YouTube channel's name, which I believe is Alec Gunter, if that's correct. I'm sure there will be a link in the description below to his channel, so please be sure to go and check him out as well. Thank you, Alec, for being here. He will be defending the stance. I'm assuming that abortion is morally and ethically permissible, aka he will be critiquing James's stance in another sense of the word. So the debate format will be as such. Each candidate will be opening with their first statements, which will be 5 minutes each. Then we will have the cross-examination for 10 minutes. Then we will have an open discussion for 20 minutes or so, and that could be there could be a discrepancy with that. If the conversation seems to still be going, we could extend that if both candidates wish. And then we will wrap up with closing statements, 5 minutes each. I will have a timer going. I will notify each candidate when it is a minute left on their allotted time. I encourage the candidates to keep a timer themselves. Please be free to do so. And I do believe we will be starting with you, James. Is that correct?
That's correct. You can go ahead and start that timer. So
Alrighty.
I want to thank Alec for agreeing to debate here. I think this is going to be a good time, and thank you, Nathan, for taking some time out of your day to debate me or to moderate this debate. When we're talking about abortion, we very much can speak in abstract concepts, and we go through analogies and we try to understand the situation to the best of our abilities. But I think that when we discuss abortion, we should understand the fundamental issue. And to understand the fundamental issue, we have to understand the actual development of humans. So, what I brought here today is a book that I saw Trent Horn use, and it has very good pictures of the development of humans in the womb. So, if I go here to 4 weeks in the womb, you can see, and people on Alex Stream won't be able to see, but you can see in the video after. That's the human embryo. So, just 4 weeks into
Oh no,
development,
they can see it.
it is starting to look like a human. It's very early in development, of course. At this point, most women don't even know they're pregnant. But if we go forth and we go to the 8 week mark, this is when most women find out they're pregnant. And at this point, this is the when the embryo really starts to become the fetus. That's when we start to use different terminology. You can see the eyes are there. Some of the organs are starting to be shown. Going even farther into the typical picture utilized for the fetus stage, 12 weeks into pregnancy, the first trimester, the end of the first trimester. We can see here that is what the baby looks like. I'll have all these pictures linked below, so you're more than welcome to look at them. But that is what the child looks like at the first trimester. At this point, things are starting to be really well defined, and we can kind of tell it is a human. Moving forth, farther into the pregnancy, we'll get to the 5 month mark. So at 5 months, obviously, again, just really well defined child. We're getting towards the end of the second trimester. Go forth even more. This is week 26, so 6.5 months. You can see the child definitely looks like a child. And then finally, when we get to the end of pregnancy, about 2 weeks before the typical birth, 38 weeks, pregnancy usually lasts for 40 weeks, there's a child positioning its head to be born. And so why do I do this? Well, I think it's important that we, like I said in the beginning on the offset, that we actually understand what we're talking about. And when we are talking about an abortion, we are talking about the brutal killing of a child in the womb and then the expulsion of said child from the womb. And so to understand that, I think it is important to understand the development of the child and what it actually looks like. But then that begs the question, now that we understand the act and we've seen what the development of a child looks like, is this wrong? Is this something we should accept in our society? I'm going to take the stance that this is fundamentally wrong. It is wrong to kill your child. Just because you have the liberty, and this is often conflated in our society and misconstrued, but just because you have the liberty to do something, like, for example, to kill your child, just because the law might say in certain states that you now have this right that they pull out of thin air to do so, doesn't mean that you ought to do so. The idea of liberty is that you have the right to do what you ought to do. And in this case, while some will argue that on the basis of liberty, a mother might have the right to kill her own child, I am going to argue that no, she does not have that right. You do not have the right to kill an innocent person. Um, and so that is the issue at hand, whether or not it is right to kill a child. I think that going further, I think that from a legal perspective, when we start talking about the law, and I think Alex is gonna, he might try to shift the conversation that way when we get into open discussion. I think that the law should reflect morality, and the law should reflect what is right and wrong. That is the basic premise for the law and its purpose. So that's all I got.
Well, thank you, James. You have 70 seconds left, so that is a whopping record right there.
I talk
Thank you.
fast.
So, Alec, it is now your turn for your opening statements, and whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Ethan. I don't think I'll take too long. I'm pretty sure that James missed a vital step of the birthing process there, and that's fertilization. Prior to fertilization, we have a sperm cell and an egg cell, and so I'm just confused as to why we don't start there. There are millions upon millions of sperm cells in my balls right now that are essentially just half humans who will never get the chance to experience life, simply as a result of the fact that they are not going to impregnate somebody. These are all. This is a process that began, in the words of the great George Carlin, the late great George Carlin, millions and millions of years ago, and is just a cycle that keeps going and going and going up until today, through millions and millions of years of evolution, reproduction, both sexual and asexual. It's just a big genetic mess right now, and that's what we're doing. We are perpetuating the genetic mess that we call reproduction. So there's really no beginning stage or end stage. Sperm cells are alive, egg cells are alive, just as a zygote's alive. And in my eyes, there's no difference. The difference comes at the point of detachment from the mother's womb. Excuse me, if I can catch my breath for just a moment, sorry. I don't know why I get out of breath when I talk sometimes, I apologize. But the difference is when it becomes detached from the mother's womb, what happens is it gains bodily autonomy, right? It becomes its own thing, its own creature. And so until that point, it is attached to the mother, it's feeding off of the mother, and in some cases that mother might be 13, 14 years old. It might have been put there against the mother's will. There are all kinds of things that can happen, and I don't think that it's morally justifiable to force somebody to carry a pregnancy that they don't want, go through all kinds of torture and pain and suffering. For what? For a baby that they didn't ask for. I think that's cruel and unusual, and I think that making that illegal is also cruel and unusual. I think you're torturing women, and that's about it.
Well, thank you, Alec, for that and breaking James' record. He has 3 minutes left, actually.
Cool.
So now we will be going into the cross-examination phase, and I'd just like to explain this briefly for those of you who are not familiar with the debate format. So in the cross-examination, each candidate will have 10 minutes for themselves to ask questions to the other opposing side. Now, during this phase, this is very much like a courtroom trial. The candidate who is cross-examining the other is at liberty to ask any type of question. And if they say it's a yes or no question, then the other person must adhere to it and answer with a yes or no. The candidate also cross-examining is able to interrupt the other candidate who is answering at any point in time. This is completely under their control. So for some of you who aren't used to watching debates or listening to them, you might think that there might be, it might feel slightly more maybe rude of this segment, but it's just how the cross-examination phase works. So candidates, if you could please keep your answers to yes, no, or maybe one-sentence answers as best as you can. And if you have other thoughts that you'd like to say, you can bring them up in the open discussion after. So, James, I believe you will be cross-examining Alec first. You will be given 10 minutes, and you can start whenever you would like.
So, Alec, when I found out that you were for abortion for all 9 months,
Mhm.
I set up some questions and I organized them in terms of life and liberty. And so I'm going to ask you some questions, and I don't want you to feel offended. Some of them are obvious, but I just want to make sure I have your answer so I understand your stance better. So,
Real quick, moderator, am I allowed to refuse questions?
You,
sure.
I mean, you have to answer them.
I
But
mean,
can
you
I
can
say? But can I say, for instance, I reject this question on such and such premise?
that's fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
you can say
I'm just
that.
making sure.
Of course. Okay, Nathan, you restarting the time. Awesome. All right. So, Alec, do all humans have a right to life?
When you say human, I would like to clarify what you mean.
Whatever you mean by it. Whatever you
I mean
define
by
as-
it?
whatever
Well,
a human
colloquially, yes.
is the right to life the most important right?
That's debatable.
Do you have an answer?
I would say that that's debatable between that and freedom.
You don't think one is more important than the other?
I think it's very difficult to decide that. I think life is part of freedom.
Is murder moral?
Is Merton? No, not in the sense that we mean it.
Does killing require justification?
Yeah, I think so.
Do newborns have the right to life?
Yes.
Do children who are 2 minutes old have the right to life?
Yes.
Is it wrong to kill a newborn?
Yes.
Is it wrong to kill a 1 week year old child in the womb? Or sorry, to kill a child that is 1 week from birth?
I don't accept that as a child.
Is it wrong to kill a fetus that is 1 week from birth?
1 week from birth, that would depend on the circumstances. Like you said, we need to justify the killing, and I think when it gets to that point, that there should be a reason for it.
Okay, so proper justification, you could kill a child 1 week from birth.
I don't consider it a child, but yes.
Or sorry, a fetus. Okay. Does the life of a human begin at conception?
No. Well, I guess that would be a little bit tricky again because we're talking about humanity versus personhood. Humanity as a species.
The humanity
The
of
humanity
a
as a
human.
species, yes, but as a person, no.
Okay. Without anyone's life being threatened, is it ever justifiable to kill somebody?
I guess you could come up with some odd circumstances whereby your freedom's being threatened to a certain extent, like slavery, but other than that, in general, I understand the purpose of the question. No, I don't believe that it's justifiable.
Is it wrong to intentionally kill a bug?
I think that depends. I think if you're going out of your way killing bugs for no absolute reason, it's a little bit shitty, but usually no, I don't really care that much.
Is it wrong to kill a deer while legally hunting?
I think depends on your purpose for killing it.
So maybe.
Maybe it depends. If you're just doing it for sport, then yeah, I'd say probably don't do that. I just don't like it.
Is it wrong to kill a cow and eat it?
Oh, I think you could make a really good argument either way. I think personally, yes, it is, but I still do it. So, you know.
Is it wrong to kill a dog?
Yeah.
Okay. Now onto liberty. Are mass mandates allowable? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think in certain circumstances.
Is drunk driving right?
Is drunk driving right? No, you're putting other people in harm's way.
Is public intoxication wrong?
Oh, shit. I don't think so. Honestly, as long as you're not hurting people, I don't really care. Or being a nuisance.
Should some drugs be illegal?
Should some drugs be illegal? I don't really think so. No, you'd have to give me a pretty specific example to say that should be illegal.
Do people have societal obligations?
To a certain extent.
Do parents have obligations to their children?
Yeah, they do.
Should society attempt to prevent suicides?
Yes.
Should taxes exist?
Yes.
Is a draft moral?
No. Well, I think it depends, but usually no.
Should violent threats be prosecuted?
Yes.
Do you believe you should weigh societal progression with individual rights/liberties?
Do I believe we should? Sorry, repeat the question.
Do you believe that we should weigh societal progression with someone's individual rights/liberties, meaning that there's an interest there between liberties and how we progress as a society?
I don't think there's. I reject the question. I don't think there's a purposeful difference like that. I don't. You're asking me for a hypothetical that does not exist. Like that would never come
Okay.
up as like a real thing. I don't think.
Okay. Do you believe in perfection?
Perfection. I think there's an ideal that we can strive for, but I don't think the ideal is ever truly reachable.
But you believe that the ideal does exist?
I don't know. That's very arbitrary. I don't know how I would answer that, to be honest.
Okay. Do you believe in God?
No, I believe in something more, but I don't know what it is. So I'm going to say no. I'm an atheist, agnostic atheist.
Well, those are different, but I know.
No, they're the same. So agnostic just means that I'm not sure. A Gnostic atheist would be somebody who's 100% sure
Gnostic
there is no
atheist.
God. An
Okay.
agnostic atheist means like I'm not sure, and I don't frankly care that much. So I
Okay,
just think
do
that
you-
there's probably not.
Do you believe in the infinite good? Good in its maxima. Or God.
I'm going to say
another
no
way to say
because I
God.
don't know what that means.
Okay. Do you believe society should work towards what is good?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe transgender individuals should be able to use the bathroom of their identification?
Yes.
Do people have the right to do what is wrong?
By wrong, if you mean hurting other people, no.
Do people have the right to do what is illegal?
Sometimes, yeah.
So should something wrong, aka not right, be made legal?
Yeah, I think generally, yeah.
Okay. Should anyone ever be arrested?
Yes.
Should anyone ever go to jail?
Yes. If by jail we mean something separating them from society, but I don't like our current system, but yes.
Can someone be innocent in an interaction? In an interaction?
Can somebody be innocent in an interaction?
Yes.
I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to be, sure.
Can someone be wrong in an interaction?
Yeah, sure.
Should government exist?
Yes. I mean, I think so. Like, I just don't see anything past it at this moment. So, at the moment, yes.
Does government have the power to set what is right and wrong in society?
Yes. That's their job.
Is killing a private matter?
No.
Does healthcare involve protecting life?
Yes. Well, the life of persons, yes.
Should healthcare providers ever intentionally kill a human?
Only if it's consensual. I do believe in consensual end-of-life terminations or whatever.
Should a human facing the death penalty be given a fair trial?
I don't think a human should face the death penalty, but I'll answer yes if they are.
All right, so I have a few minutes left here if my
Sure.
time's accurate. I want to ask you about an analogy or a situation that could exist. So if a mother was out in the wilderness, let's just say she's in the United States, so she's under the law of this country, and she gives birth to a baby boy, and that baby boy is requiring of the mother for all of her nutrients. The mother's feeding the boy, the mother is breastfeeding the boy, so there's a clear dependency relationship there. But the problem is that the mother is out in the wilderness. She's out in a cabin, and there is nobody to be around. But one day the mother decides that she actually doesn't want that child anymore. Even though the child's born, she says, well, the child is feeding off of my resources. The child's feeding off of my body. I have to breastfeed the child. I have to give the child things from my own person. And I don't think that's right. And so I'm going to stop feeding the child. Would it be acceptable for the mother to stop feeding the child if nobody else was around to feed the child?
No, she's
60
already
seconds,
taken.
James.
Huh? Oh, okay. She's already taken on the responsibility of motherhood, so no. She would have to find somebody else to take over care.
Okay, so she's already a mother, so she's
She's
therefore...
she's taken on the responsibility of motherhood, correct.
Okay, and so if we brought that out and we brought it out for 9 months, could she be forced to care for the child for the next 9 months if she had to?
I would say that's, well, if she had to, I don't think she does have to. There are plenty of ways to induce abortion.
No, but the baby's already born, right? The baby's
The baby's
born, and
already
she's
been
taking
born?
care. Yeah, and she's taking care of the child. Would she be
Okay.
forced to care for the child for the next 9
She's
months?
taken
No
on
way to get to it.
responsibility. Once the baby's born and she says, yes, I will mother this child, she has to mother it until somebody else takes over.
Okay, awesome. I think I have a few seconds left, but I'll surrender it.
I'd like to ask if I can roll my time over into the open discussion because I don't really have that many like specific questions like that. I prefer the discussion format.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
I
if
mean,
you're
if
fine
you-
with that, James.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that, Alec. If you want,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to just still use your 10 minutes and just kind of like control the discussion and ask questions and make your points, you're welcome to do that too.
Sure.
It's totally up to you.
Sure, no, it's
Yeah.
totally fine. Like I said, I'm just more of an open discussion kind of guy. I don't really have a bunch of questions prepared. I just I want to bounce ideas back and forth. That's kind of how I do debates.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then we'll move into the open discussion phase now, and I will set a timer for 20 minutes. And I mean, I'll let you, Alec, start us off with the open discussion since James just got done with his cross-examination.
Sure, I guess I do have one question. A 13-year-old gets
Yes.
raped. What should we do with her? She gets pregnant. Should she be allowed an abortion?
No.
Why not?
Well, it depends.
It depends.
Well, what can I ask you a question
Sure.
so I understand the question better? What
Sure.
is an abortion?
What is an abortion? It's removing the fetal tissue from the mother.
Okay. Yeah, no.
Why not?
Because in every single case in the medical field, you should be caring for both of your patients. And in the case of a woman getting pregnant, there is both the child in the womb and the mother.
It's not a
So
child in the
you
womb.
view-
I don't consider it that. Why should I care?
Well, it is a child in the womb.
No, it's a fetus in the womb. That's what it is.
What does fetus mean?
Fetus means it's got human components, but it's still attached to the mother in the embryo.
No,
sorry,
I mean
in
like
the-
what does the word fetus mean? When you say
The word
fetus,
fetus?
what does that mean?
It's referring to the tissue cell that exists inside of the mother and is attached to the womb.
Okay, so that's not the actual definition of fetus is offspring, right? It comes from the
I don't
the Latin
care.
word.
You're,
it comes from the Latin word
You're gesturing,
fetus.
but you're gesturing at these words, and it's like words only help us in as far as they carry meaning. And what we mean when we
Sure.
say fetus is that lump of tissue in the womb.
Right, but words do carry meaning, as you've alluded to, and
Right.
it's important that we understand the words that we're meaning.
Right.
we're
So
saying.
does
And
it mean that or not? Do you agree? Does it refer to that?
Well, it's not just tissue; it's something greater. It's
Yeah,
actually
you
a
can
human
call it whatever
being.
you want, but we're referring to the same concept. Yes.
No, it's fundamentally different because I
Okay.
believe it's a human being.
Okay.
And so you are calling it just tissue. I could have tissue separate from my body, and that would just be tissue sitting on a plate. But my actual body is my human body. So those are different, right? It's one is part of an organism.
I
and one
consider a
is
fetus
the
to be
organism.
like if I were to take some skin, like scrape some skin cells off, I consider that to be equivalent to at least a zygote or an embryo. Maybe a fetus past a certain point. I know that it starts to get neural connections and such about 24 weeks old. But, beyond that, like before that, I just don't care about it much at all. I think that you can give it like an additional consideration once it starts to get that neural activity, but I would still way prioritize the mother over the life of the fetus and even the comfort of the mother, frankly. I think if you're at 30 weeks pregnant and the doctor says, hey, listen, we just found this thing that's wrong with you, and if you give birth, it's going to really suck, even if we give you pain meds. I think the mother has, like, and they said that we can't do a live birth or else it'll, like, really hurt you. I would say the mother has full rights to terminate the pregnancy, however she sees fit.
Yeah, I see your stance. I think that you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what a human is, though. So
Okay, so
are
when
calling...
we have this conversation, we're talking about humans versus persons. I consider those two different. Do you?
I do not, because I don't
Okay.
think you can separate somebody's personhood from their humanity.
Is a corpse human?
It is not. Well, no, sorry. A corpse is a human body, but it's no longer alive.
What about well, it's a human body, so you consider that human tissue, right? Like that is still composed primarily of human tissue.
Right, but it's not
And
animated
human
anymore.
DNA.
It's
not
dead.
Okay, so it's not animated, it's dead.
Right.
Okay, so if it's human tissue and it's animated, then you consider it a human?
That is the nature of a human, right? I think it's important to understand.
Okay, what about
things
blood
have-
cells sitting in like a bag? Those are alive.
Right, but those aren't human.
Yes,
Those
they
are
are.
part of an organism.
No,
If
they have human DNA.
that they're not individual organisms.
Why not?
Because they just aren't. An
They're
individual
alive.
organism is
They're
itself.
human.
What's the
They
propensity?
meet all your criteria, buddy.
What's the propensity of a red blood cell in a bag?
It's alive and it's human. It came from a
No,
human.
it's not human. That's just fundamentally wrong. If you leave a red blood
Why?
cell
It's
on,
your definition.
well, here, let me explain to you why it's
Sure.
fundamentally different. If you have a zygote, right, and it's where it ought to be, which is in the mother, right, and developing, implanted into the uterus, then it will actually develop into the rational being that you and I
It will.
both are.
It will at some point.
That's its propensity.
Yes,
that's its
it will.
habit, that's
It will at
what
some
it
point.
does.
But
if
it's
you
not
take-
yet, is
if
it?
you take a human, a skin cell, or you take a red blood cell, it's not of the nature to develop into a fully fleshed person.
I don't care. What I'm telling you is that if it has the nature to do so at some point, then you are openly admitting that it is not that thing yet.
Right. So in the same way, this is good. I'm glad that we've got to this point.
Okay.
So when we talk about humans, right? Usually we talk about what the realized nature of a human is. We will say, oh, well, humans have 2 eyes, they have 2 arms, and then if we get more in depth, we might say that, well, humans have rational thought. And then if we go even further, we might come up with something and say that, well, humans have a rational soul, and it animates the body. And it's
Why are
all
you
these
okay with
different
forcing
things.
13-year-olds to give
but-
birth? Why are you
But
okay
hold
with
on.
that?
I'm happy to answer that question too.
Okay.
But if we actually
I just find it
then
interesting.
look at other things, that other people that we know are humans, like we both agree from my questioning, I know you agree with this, that newborns are also human beings, right? A newborn doesn't have this robust rational thought. A newborn has a very lesser than version of the human experience because they're still developing.
Right. So a newborn,
so when
according
we
to your
talk-
logic, is just
when we
as human
talk
as a
about-
blood cell.
No, when we talk
Yes.
about humans, we can talk about humans in their nature, just like we talk about a chair that's broken. We say that's a broken chair. But if it has 4 legs, that's a full chair. Like you can develop into what you really are, but your initial starting point or where you are in your development, just because you don't have things that are essential to the nature of a human being, doesn't mean that you aren't a human being. In the case of a red blood cell does not have the propensity to develop into a fully fleshed human being. Therefore, it is not a human being.
Do I have the right to attach myself to a woman's uterus and feed off of her for 9 months?
No. 'cause
Okay,
that
well then
doesn't
why
even
do
make
you
sense.
give
That's not
more
possible.
rights? Why do you give more rights to a fetus than to me then? Because the fetus has the
Why
right to
do
do that,
I-
right?
Why do I give more rights to a fetus than to you?
Yes, a fetus has the
I'm
right
not
to do
giving. So if we can talk about rights, you have the right to life, Alec.
Sure.
And so does every single human that exists. Every human has a
that. I think every person does once
principle-
you're born.
right to life. When we argue on the pro-life side, we are not saying that the fetus or the child has more rights than the mother.
Yes,
we are
you
simply
are. You're saying no.
that
Yes,
they
you are.
Equal.
You're saying that if I attach myself to somebody's uterus and fed off of her for 9 months, what would you do? Like, let's say that the only way to get me off was to kill me. Is she allowed to kill me?
Well, you are. Is this? See, this situation is not. I just want everyone to understand this is not completely comparable to pregnancy.
Yes,
but
it
in
is.
this
That's
case,
exactly what
it is-
pregnancy is, though.
Well, that's a bad view and an
No, it's
incorrect
not.
view of
Why is it
pregnancy. If
incorrect?
you think, because the world, as Aristotle saw the world in cause and effects, and there has to be a cause and then an effect. Simply
The
speaking.
cause
And
is
so
I plug
you-
myself into a woman and start feeding off of her.
Right. So you actually are. You being a living person are going and you are.
I'm hungry. I need
invade-
snackies, okay? I need snackies, and I hook myself up to a woman to get snackies. Why am I not allowed to do that? You say
Right.
fetus
That's
can
not
do
the
that.
same. That's not the same.
It's
thing as
exactly the
pregnancy.
same.
In a pregnancy, a new living human being comes into existence after the uniting
Oh, so
of the sperm
so if I
and
just
egg
appeared, so if
within the mother. Yeah.
let's say that
appearing
I
is
just
much better
appeared yesterday.
than-
I just appeared yesterday. I'm brand new. Now I can do it.
Well, are you that woman's child?
Sure, but I appear as an adult. So as long as
You appear an
it's
adult,
my
and
mom,
what exactly is happening?
I magically appear, right? I just appear. I materialize as an adult. Oh yes, I'm a new human now. Now I can attach myself to my mother and feed off of her and get yummy snackies, right?
Is it
Now it's
essential
legal.
for is it essential for your life to get nutrients from your mother?
Let's say yes.
So it is essential for your life to get nutrients from your mother. It is your mother. You are the son of your mother,
Mm-hmm.
and you are now attached. Out of whatever reason, you are now attached to your mother.
Yes.
Yeah, in that case, you must stay attached. I mean, I
disagree.
might be missing part of the analogy, but I don't think that mother then
What if it
should
would
ought
kill
to
her?
kill the child.
What if it would kill her?
See,
Like at the
there
end
is
of the 9 months.
that is the exception on the pro-life side.
And why is that
we
the
view
exception?
each-
Wait, I thought that abortion was murder, right?
abortion is murder.
So
yes.
you're saying that in some cases it's okay to murder a child?
Well, in some cases, it's okay to utilize self-defense because that
Murdering.
in itself is a competing of the right to life. It's one's right to life.
Oh,
versus
so
someone
that you're
else's right
saying
to
that the
life.
child then is so this innocent little being is threatening its mom, like at gunpoint almost, like it's comparable to that.
No, I don't think that it's anything that
You
the
just
being
said that
can
it's threatening the
control.
life. You said it's self-defense.
There are rare cases where yes, a baby in the womb, a fetus, an offspring, an embryo can actually challenge the mother's life. I agree.
So it's
but I
not
wouldn't
innocent.
compare that to somebody holding a gun up to somebody's head.
Why not? They're both killing. I'd say that the method is like, a distinction without a difference.
What do you mean by that? A distinction without the difference?
There's both killing the mom. So like
Yeah, so
that's
so
the important
here's
part
how
to
we
me.
view it in the pro-life movement. When you are taking a woman who is pregnant, right? You value both the woman's life and the offspring's life, the child's life, the fetus's life. And so in every case,
aware.
you say we protect each of their lives. Now, in a case where one life is potentially going to be lost, then you have to do whatever you can to protect that life in the same way that you try to save the pregnancy, right? That is a whole part of a pregnancy itself, is making sure that the life developing inside the woman is taken care of. So that's how
Even
you
if she's
should view
13.
it as a doctor.
Even if she's 13, right?
Well, I mean, I know this is popular to do among pro-choicers who bring up.
Well, it's
these
a real
most heinous
situation.
acts.
So yeah, it's very popular
It's very
for a
real.
good reason.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's terrible. I think we
Yes.
both can agree that that's a disgusting, heinous act, and
Yes.
that whatever man did such a thing to a young girl should be punished to
Yes.
the first extent in the law.
Yes, we both
but
agree. That has
being
nothing to
said-
do with what I asked about, though. Just so we're clear.
Right.
But go on.
Right. But that being said, it is not right then to say that the child must be put to death.
Why not? Well, also, force the 13-year-old to carry the pregnancy then, right? Force her to wake up every morning throwing up, having headaches, migraine headaches, craving foods that she's never eaten before, going to school on top of that, doing homework, and not being able to do sports because she's pregnant, right? She has to go to the gyno instead of her sports soccer practice. And that's all totally fine and normal and cool with you, right? And then at the end of that, what
Actually,
does she
it's not.
get?
It's not normal to me. I think that's actually
But
against the
clearly
nature
it's
of
at
our-
some
of
level
our
of normal to
existence, but-
you, because if it happens, you're saying she should carry the pregnancy instead of getting an abortion.
Well, can I explain to you why that's not normal? Because that should never have happened.
You're right, it shouldn't have, but it does. It happens all
Right,
the time.
it does happen, but for you to say that I
And
think
so
that's
you're
normal,
saying when
I
it
do not
does,
think that's normal.
you're saying when it does, it's fine to force her through the pregnancy, and it's actually preferable.
So
to
the
an
rhetoric
abortion.
of forcing her through the pregnancy is
It's
another way
true.
of saying that she should have an option to kill her child.
She
Another
comes up to you
traumatic thing.
crying. She's in tears.
Yes.
She says, "I don't want to be a mom yet." What do you do?
I mean,
Please,
I
it
do
hurts. It
everything-
hurts.
I
Please.
come,
It hurts.
I give her every single resource I can possibly.
Like an
give her,
abortion,
because
right?
that is it's a
Like an
difficult
abortion.
situation. No, abortion actually.
No,
is
no,
a
not
very-
abortion. Okay, so we just tell her, you have to carry it.
So abortion is actually
Crying
a very
child, she has
traumatic
to carry it.
experience for a lot of people.
Crying child, she has to
so-
carry it, right?
Yeah, Alec,
Crying
we can
13-year-old.
talk about the
That's what I
fringe
care
and
about.
extreme cases, but that's not.
Well, that's what I
really
care about.
we're-
That happens. We agreed that it happens, right?
But could we agree?
So that's
on-
what you would do.
Okay. Yeah, I would. I don't. believe
Exactly.
in
There you
killing
go.
children.
It's monstrous. That's monstrous, man.
Okay. I don't. I think it's terrible to kill children, but can we
Dude,
talk about
but it's fine to force them through pregnancy, clearly. Right?
Well, if the terminology forcing people through pregnancy is another way of saying that they have to care for their children, they have,
Have
an
to.
obligation, and they have an obligation to their kids. which I
Forced upon
believe-
them by the rapist, which you're now enforcing.
Well, no, it's not.
Yes.
It's not just the rapist child; it's also your child as the mother.
Oh,
So
isn't that beautiful?
While the rapist is a disgusting person who I think we should deal with again to the first extent the law possibly allows us.
I know
it's
that
still-
we
you're still
both agree on
biologically
that. That's a very
connected to
brave
the
stance
mother.
that you're taking, man. What I'm saying is that once we do that, you're saying we should still force the 13-year-old to carry the pregnancy, yes? You can call it whatever you want, but it's forceful.
Yeah, you're gonna ask me again, and I'm telling you, it's wrong to
Let me
kill
ask you
children.
this.
So yes,
Can children make medical decisions?
no,
Oh, well, but I thought that they could choose to carry this pregnancy.
you don't choose to carry a pregnancy. Pregnancy
Oh, it's
is
just
a
forced
natural
upon them.
phenomena.
Right, it's just forced upon them.
No,
Well,
it's
so
not
so you're saying
to
it's natural
say-
then? It's
to-
natural when a
to
rapist.
say no, I didn't
Right?
say
Yes,
that.
you did.
Don't
You
say-
said it's natural for when a 13-year-old is pregnant, right?
No, it's actually that's
I,
actually
wait, I
against
thought
our
that pregnancy
human
was
nature
natural
to-
here.
Okay, so now you're conflating a 13-year-old being pregnant and the typical pregnancy.
Is it
It is
natural when a
natural
13-year-old's
to get
pregnant?
pregnant. It is against our nature. It's against the moral law for a young girl to get pregnant. Yes, that is wrong. That is not normal.
But it's
The
not
question is,
wrong
what
to
do we
force
do
her
with
through
the
the
child
pregnancy.
that comes into existence?
But it's not wrong to force her through it. That's natural and fine.
It is wrong, Alec, to kill a child. If that to you means to
Yeah,
force
yeah.
somebody
That's
to,
it's. You're saying it's wrong for that child to get an abortion. So it's fine to push that child through a pregnancy against her will. I think that's gross. I think that's really gross, man.
Okay. Or do you want to move on to other parts of pregnancy? The other 98% of pregnancies that occur, or maybe the 90%
Just so it's
that
clear
are
that
elective
you're
abortions?
forcing 13-year-olds through pregnancy. You're fine with that. Just so it's clear.
I'm actually not fine with the concept of a 13-year-old.
When
being
you are
pregnant. I think
presented
that I'm
with a
principled
13-year-old
person.
who is pregnant, you say yes, force her through the pregnancy. You can dress it up in whatever pretty language you want, but that's what you're doing.
I'm not forced. I mean, you are.
Mm-hmm.
I do not believe it's right to kill children. I know it's a
What word
it's a
would you
difficult
use?
situation to
What word
talk
would
about.
you use?
I would
Not
say
force, but
you believe, Alec. If I
no,
understand
I'm giving you a
correctly-
chance. What word would you use? You don't like the word force, so what word would you use? We would blank the 13-year-old through the pregnancy. Go on.
Well, you help the 13-year-old.
Help
you help
her.
the
There we go.
13-year-old through the pregnancy.
We would
I mean,
assist
you give
her
her
through it,
resources.
right.
I mean, I think that pro-choicers would be better time.
Right,
they
against
would
her
be
will,
better
though, right?
spent
Against her
actually
will.
helping mothers.
She wants the abortion.
Instead of. Yeah, but you just because again. this comes
Please,
back to a
please, it
fundamental-
hurts. Please, I'm begging you. No, no, you have to. You're forced now. You have to do it.
Okay.
I'm just
So
saying.
it's coming back then to a fundamental understanding of liberty, which I think you actually probably agree with me more than you might think. You do not have the liberty to do what is wrong, and it is wrong to kill a child. I understand this is a difficult situation.
I don't
to
think it's a
talk about,
child. I think that you're forcing a 13-year-old needlessly through a pregnancy.
But
I
you
think that's
haven't.
gross.
See, I've given you a good argument for why it is a child, and you
I don't
haven't
care. I
really-
don't agree. It's not a good argument.
Okay, well, why is it not a good argument?
Because it can't think, it can't breathe, it can't do anything on its own. It's connected to the mother and feeding off of it. It's not a child, it's a
Okay,
fetus.
so
There's
what
a
do
distinct
you-
difference.
What do you think about a 2-day-old child?
It's a child.
Okay, so can that child do anything on its own?
No. Not really. I
Okay.
mean, it can move.
How
It's
does it- how does
independent. Well, it can actually. You know what it can do? It can live on its own. It can survive. All right,
How does
it
it
can
do that?
actually survive without being attached to anybody directly. And so what we can do is we can take that child. Let's say the mom doesn't want it. Oh, just give birth. Now the mom doesn't want it. All right, so she changed her mind last second. Let's now take our government, right, that's set up to protect such children. I would hope at least, the least of us, right? And now we're going to take the government and say, now you have to do something with this. You have to allocate resources to make sure that this living human is cared for. That's what our government's for. And that's what I believe.
Right. So I'm curious, how does a 1-day-old child do everything on its own? How does it survive on its own?
I didn't say everything. And if I did say everything, I'm sorry. What I meant was it survives because it can breathe on its own. It can actually take in sustenance, right? It has the pucker response, not pucker.
How does it get food?
It suckles off its mom's teat or through formula.
Okay, so it requires the resources of the mother.
You also require other people's resources, man. You don't live in a vacuum. We
I
all
agree.
require
No, hold
each
on.
other.
I agree. This is also a very important point that I think a lot of people on the left need to respect. We are social creatures. We
Yes.
do depend on each other. I totally agree with that statement.
Yeah.
However, your argument here is that your humanity is dependent on, or it's a requirement for your humanity, rather, that you don't have a dependent relationship. But now we're seeing, brought to light, that you do depend on people.
I
from
said
the moment...
direct connection. It's a direct connection to the mother. She is
Okay,
being...
but metaphysically, what is the difference between the dependency?
If we could... No, what the difference is that we can have other people care for the baby now. It doesn't need its mom anymore. If we need somebody else to take care of it, we can do that. We can accommodate it. That's what the government's set up for.
But in the analogy I gave you previously in my cross-examination,
Yeah, the
I
very
gave you
silly
the example,
analogy that never happens.
But is it possible, though?
Sure, it's possible in a governmentless society, in a libertarian hellscape. Sure, I'm sure that could happen.
Well, I don't want. Let's just take a moment to understand. I don't want a libertarian hellscape.
Well, I'm not
either,
saying
but-
you would, but I'm just saying, yeah, if the ANCAPs get their way, I'm sure that would happen. But in our current modern day post-scarcity society where we have doctors and
But
government officials.
the example is real, though. It could happen. It could exist
But
in
it
this
doesn't. It like
world. Right, but
and to the
understand
by the way,
that
you're missing a
shows
crucial
that,
element. Did she choose to get pregnant, or was that forced upon her?
Let's say she chose.
She chose to get pregnant, so she wanted the pregnancy. Yes.
She had consensual sex. Yes.
Okay, she wanted the pregnancy. She had consensual sex for the specific purpose to get pregnant, and then what happens? You set it up.
She has a baby. It's the same thing
Okay,
I
so she
asked you before.
gives
She gives birth to a
so
child.
this is all consensual. Up to
nobody-
this point,
no-
she gives birth.
Nobody is around
Okay.
for 9 months.
Then she's
she's
the
in the
only
wilderness.
responsible party. She has now given birth to a human that deserves human rights, okay? And being the case that she is the only person who can provide for it, she is obligated now to provide for it. And I think that's
Bingo.
fair.
So she has an obligation to her child. I agree with that premise. In the same way, and this is where we're going to disagree, because you don't think the baby in the womb or the fetus in the womb is a child. I think that's not really founded in anything. I don't think it's a good pro-choice
I think a
argument.
13-year-old's a child.
But however, in the womb, there is the same thing. Only the mother can supply what that child needs.
I don't care. It's not
just-
human. It's literally feeding off of
Alec,
the mom.
I get it, but if you were to accept the basic premise that it is a human, which most
That's a
people
scenario that never
accept,
happens.
If you would understand that it's actually the same dependency. It's a situation
No, it's
where
not.
the mother.
It is not
How
the
is it-
same
how is-
dependency.
How is it different? How is it?
It's
different?
not a direct connection. It's not directly tied to the mom. If the mom doesn't want to if the mom doesn't want to breastfeed it, the mom can get formula or something else to feed it with. It's not directly taking nutrients from the mom. It's not a parasite.
Okay, so we're talking
It
about
ceases
a
to be
physical,
a parasite.
We're talking about a physical connection, sure. Do you
Yes.
believe that there are metaphysical truths?
I guess maybe I don't know. Like what?
Like I can say it is wrong for somebody to come and kill you right now. That's wrong.
I would say that's wrong. Yes. In a
And we
social
should
manner.
all agree on that, right? And that
Well, this
simple
is a
form,
social
that's just
contract
wrong.
thing.
Well, no, I'm just asking you, can things be true that maybe deal with morality? Can certain moral statements just be true?
I think that we should, as humans, take it as truth because that's what will help benefit us the most. So
What do
in
you mean by
that sense,
take it?
yes.
What do you mean by take it as
Re-
true?
Really quick, James, before
Yeah, go ahead.
you continue.
Sure.
So that is the 20 minutes of discussion. Now we did have 10 minutes allotted for Alex's cross-examination, which he gave up. So we can continue for 10 more minutes.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's
If
fine.
you both are fine
As
with
long
that.
as it's cool with Alec, and he's definitely cool with it. So,
Okay, we'll go for 10 more minutes. You can continue with your question.
yeah. So, what is? Sorry, let's just go back. So, do you believe in
Sure.
physical truths? Do you think that physically we can observe something and say that's true?
Yeah, sure. Like the sky's blue, sure.
Do you think that moral statements can be observed as true?
Such as, give me an example.
It is wrong to kill an innocent person.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Great. So, in the case of dependency between a mother in the cabin, the only person that her child can depend upon is herself, and the case of the child or the fetus, I'll use your terminology, in the womb, depending on the mother, what is the metaphysical difference there? What in
It's
terms
not
of
a
dependency?
person. It's not detached from the mom yet, so I don't consider it a person. It's like it'd be like what you're asking me is, do you care about the egg and sperm cell? No, I don't.
Well, the egg and sperm cell are not people.
Why
They
not?
are- they have the-
I think that's a
when-
fair question. Why not?
Because they are just not. They have 23
Oh, they're just not.
chromosomes.
Why not?
And
Well,
because together,
together they have 46, right?
when you combine egg and sperm together, it actually creates a new organism. But separate, they are just parts of. They come from an organism.
So what's
They're
the
just
difference
parts of an
between?
organism.
So what's the difference between when a sperm cell, like the moment before it attaches to the egg cell? Like, what's the difference? I don't see the difference.
The difference is that when you actually have sperm and egg come together, a unique person is created. There's things like
Okay,
its
I don't
sex,
care. It's still just as
hair
brain dead.
characteristics.
It's still just
It's
as
going
brain
to-
dead.
Hold on, let me just give it respect, right? It has its own sex determined at the moment of conception. Its hair color is determined. Hundreds of characteristics are determined about that unique.
It's determined.
individual
No.
organism
Wait. Sex is
at the
determined
point-
before that. Nope. Sex is determined before that. The
Okay.
sex is determined by the father. There's an X chromosome or a Y chromosome within each sperm cell. It is determined well before fertilization. So if that's part of your criteria there, then you're gonna have to take that off the list.
Okay, fine. You learn something new every day. But I know for sure that hair color is determined at the moment of conception. And you have everything that is going to become the fully fleshed human
Yeah, but the chance-
is right there, and it's going to self-direct that growth into the fully fleshed human
Let me ask you this.
from the moment of conception.
Mom and dad are both homozygous for brown hair. meaning that no matter what, the kid's gonna have brown hair. So is that determined at the moment of fertilization? Is it determined before? Like what point does that determine that?
only a person can be created from sperm and egg coming together. So we can
But
get
you didn't
into,
answer the
I guess,
question. Do you understand
I don't know
what I'm
how to
getting
answer
at?
the question.
Just because all
I'm
these things
confused.
happen to be determined at the point where the sperm and egg come together, like doesn't mean anything. You could say that it's determined way before
Why does it
that.
not mean anything? Doesn't that show that it's actually the beginning of something new?
No.
So is anything
I'm sure it's the
created at
beginning of
conception?
something new, but is there anything what?
Is anything created at conception?
Created? No, it's just an egg cell and a sperm cell coming together. Like, no, literally, no. There's no mass added to it. It's just one sperm cell, one egg cell, and all the mass is the same. And the only thing that happens is that the sperm cell and the egg cell come together, and then the DNA unites, and that makes it a human cell. Okay.
So I would be if you have any scientific literature to point to this stance, I would be very curious to read it. But I do want to ask you,
Wait, sorry. To read about what? Like that's
the fact that life does not begin at conception.
I never
Because
said
I
that.
haven't heard this.
Well, no,
This
it
is
doesn't because
fascinating.
sperm and egg cell are alive, so it doesn't.
Right, just like your skin cell is alive, but it's not a person. It's your skin cell. It's a
I
part
would
of the
be.
organism.
I would love to know why I should respect a fetus over a skin cell.
Well, can I ask you this question?
Sure.
Do you know what conception means?
It means when a sperm and an egg cell come together. That's what it means. That's the idea we're communicating. So I know that you're going to go into some Greek, whatever it is, but I don't care.
Well, I don't know why you wouldn't care about any of that because I think it's important
I
to
just
understand
know
the
why.
words you
Why
use.
is it though? We're communicating the idea.
Well, why do you think we called it conception?
Why do I care?
Well, because I think it might show you that actually we largely agree that this is when you are conceived or when you are created, when you begin.
Okay, serenade me. Go on.
So let me really try to fundamentally understand this a little bit better. So
Sure.
at 39 weeks, is that a human being in the womb?
Is it attached to the mom?
It is, but you actually could look in and you could see its head.
No.
Like it's there. It exists.
No. It's,
Okay,
it's
let's
still
say
inside the mom.
It's being birthed.
You're asking me
and
for a
it's
gray
still-
line. You're asking me for a blurred line. There's no point to
Well,
this
I
question.
wanna know when it
I
becomes
don't
a
think that
human.
you should.
When
I
does it
don't
become
think
a
that you
human?
should
Birth?
kill it. If you're asking me whether or not it's okay to kill a 39-week-old fetus for no reason, no, it's not okay. There's a gray line. Okay, I understand there's a line. I get that, but I don't respect
Well,
it as
that's
human.
important.
I don't respect it as human until it's out of the
Okay.
mom and detached. That's not respected as human.
Well, Alec, we actually made some progress here because you came in saying that you are for abortion all 9 months,
Yes.
right? And you just said that at 39 weeks, you would not think it's acceptable to have an abortion.
No, I did not say that. What I said was a needless abortion. If it's to save the life of the mom, if the mom is going to be in
Which
some
I
kind of
agree.
immense pain, if the baby is like, let's say that
Immense
the baby
pain.
is like, there's a nuchal umbilical cord wrapped around its neck, and it's also twisted the wrong way, right? I forget what it's called right now, but it's in the stance that's the wrong way, and it's going to be like torture to try to get it out. They can't do a C-section for one reason or another, and they're saying, listen, your baby is going to be like permanently screwed up, and this is going to be an extraordinarily painful procedure if we proceed, even if we give you painkillers. I say, yeah, at that point, an abortion's fine. It's not
I'm
a human
curious
yet.
because you brought in immense pain, and I want to ask you a question about that. Do
Sure.
you think it's ever acceptable in society, or can you think of a situation where, because of the immense pain of a mother, it is acceptable to kill your child?
Such as?
I'm asking you, can you think of anything besides pregnancy?
No.
Okay.
I
why-
also don't
guess-
think that
I
a
guess
fetus
what's
is a
the
child,
argument-
so you
what's the
still have to
argument
convince me of
for-
that.
What is the argument for? Well, I've tried to convince you of it, and I don't think we're gonna get anything
Probably not.
there. I think most, and all respect to you, Alec. I appreciate you doing the debate,
Sure.
but I think that the vast majority of pro-choicers agree that it is a human from the moment of conception.
It's not a
and
person.
this is,
No. You keep conflating human with person.
okay,
See, this
so
is the
what is
problem.
what's a non-human person?
It's something that has the genetics and the composition of a human, but it's not a person, such as a corpse. All right.
What is
or
the
or a
requirement to be a
kidney
person?
cell. All right. Huh?
What is the requirement to be a person?
Was there a requirement to be a person?
What do you have to meet to be a
That's
person?
very
if you are a
complicated.
human?
You're asking me about the nature of humanity.
Yeah,
but
and I can
suppose
very easily answer
my
that question.
criteria would be that you've been born. You have human genetics and you've been born.
What about birth makes that so special?
You're not
in
attached to the
making you a
mom. You're
person?
not feeding off of somebody
And
else
then we
as
get
a
back
parasite.
to the dependency question, which I don't think you can give metaphysical or above the physical
You're
reasoning for why
parasitizing off
dependency
of
is so
someone else.
important.
You can't tell me why a fetus is allowed to do that and I'm not. So I don't get it. You're giving the fetus more rights
How
than
is
me.
the
I want
fetus- how is the
snackies. I want
fetus a par-
snackies. Why can't I get snackies? Why did the fetus get all of them? That's not fair.
How is the fetus a parasite?
It's literally a parasite. It attaches itself, and then it feeds. And it actually does quite a bit of damage to the mom. You know, you can have a mom. Sorry, that's my dryer. You can have a mom like lose teeth and shit. Like it can get quite gruesome sometimes. You know, there's a lot that happens with pregnancy that people just don't think about.
So I reject the idea that it's a parasite because the fetus.
Well, then you're
literally
wrong. You're just scientifically inaccurate then.
That's actually not scientifically inaccurate.
Yes, it
because
is.
The fetus, it's literally a part of the reproductive life of a woman. It's
and
like
it acts as a parasite.
It is directly connected to her biological existence.
There's a species.
Her body literally is geared towards pregnancy.
There's a species of wasp. There's a species of wasp that parasitizes a spider, and it lays its eggs inside of the spider's belly while it's still alive, and that's how they develop. Now, is the spider responsible for caring for those little baby larvae? Like
the spider of a different species?
Yeah, is that parasitism?
In that case, does sound like a parasite.
What
yes,
if they did? What if they did it? What if they did it to a
here.
wasp of the same species?
What if we did it with a wasp?
Yeah.
Of
What
the
if
same
there's a species of wasp? Oh shit. Sorry, I'm playing something. What if there's a species of wasp that did it to the same species? Like they went over to another member of their own species and parasitized it. But it's not parasitism because they're the same species, right?
We would have to. I mean, I don't even know if that exists in the real world.
But you're saying that the only meaningful difference there is the species, yes?
No, it's not the only meaningful difference.
Well, then what's another one?
When I went on, I said that the actual biological existence of the mother of a woman is pregnancy. It's fundamental to her biological.
No, what's
nature.
fundamental to her biology is living her damn life, okay, and enjoying it. That's what's fundamental. I don't care if she's pregnant or not.
How is that a physical truth?
It's a physical truth because I think that's what will make everybody's lives better.
No,
so that's truth enough for me.
That's a metaphysical.
Will that
so
not make everybody's lives better?
So I'm talking
saying
about the physical reality of a woman.
Well, the physical reality is that the woman wants to do whatever the hell she damn pleases.
Again,
that's the physical reality.
That's a different type of thing. You were talking
no,
about
it's
something
not.
about the physical. Yes, it is, because I am talking about the biology of a woman, which is something
okay,
physical,
and that sounds like eugenics, man. You sound like a eugenicist.
How do I sound like a eugenicist?
Because you're saying, no, you fail to see. The purpose of the woman is the womb, and we must implant a baby. The baby must be implanted in the womb. It's like really sick, man.
I'm not saying that women should be forced to be pregnant. I am saying that it is definitely
You're saying that's her
of a
purpose.
woman's No, that's also not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Although I think that it is good for women to get pregnant. It's good for our society, right? That if we keep reproducing.
Sure, then you should incentivize pregnancy instead of trying to strip them of rights.
But what I am saying is that you cannot deny that a woman's biology definitely centers around pregnancy, right? From when she starts having her periods.
Sure,
and
her biology, but I'm not cucked to biology. All right,
I'm not saying that I agree with you. There is a metaphysical reality about life. I agree that we can have a discussion about what women should do in the world. I'm totally fine with that. But for you to say that you think that it is a biological truth that a woman should do whatever she wants, it doesn't even make any sense.
Why
so
not?
I don't, because that's not biology.
I don't care.
That's a physical thing.
If it's not the truth, then whatever you consider, like whatever area of study, I don't care. I consider that truth. Women should be able to do whatever the hell they please.
Okay.
So if a woman
okay. Sorry, James. That is the time, and so we are going to go on to closing statements, which will be 5 minutes each for both candidates. And James, because you opened, you can have the first closing statement. You can start whenever.
All right. So first, again, thanks for Alec for doing the debate.
Yeah,
we disagree pretty tremendously, and I do these debates quite often with pro-choicers, and the typically, and I don't mean to offend Alec on the other side of this call, I really don't. But typically the good arguments you will see from the pro-choicers is the fact that our humanity is not, the value of our humanity is not actually derived from the fact that we are just human, or as a Catholic, as we would say, that you were made in the image of God, that you have such a great purpose for the world. That the value of humans actually comes from something else, and they'll argue consciousness or sentience. Those really are the best arguments, but even in that argument in itself, I think it's a bad view of the world. I think that human beings, and I have no problem saying this, human beings are just valuable on the basis that they are human. And we should view humanity in that light. Every single human being, no matter their characteristic, we should never discriminate them or discriminate on them based on what they look like, what they sound like, what they wear, what characteristics they have, what sex they are, what gender they identify as, who they choose to love. For whatever reason, we should always view humans as infinitely valuable because they are humans. Now, on to Alec's argument. I don't think you're going to find, and I would encourage anyone who does find it to send it to me. I don't think you're going to find any sort of scientific literature that says that the beginning of humanity is not, or of a human, is not the moment of conception. I think that has been shown that at that moment, because of the combination of the sperm and the egg, a unique living organism comes into existence. And that organism self-directs its own development. And as you can see from the pictures I showed at the beginning of this debate, of the show, it very quickly starts to look like a human being, which is important that we actually understand the actual the nature of what we're looking at. And just a final point, when you're discussing this topic, it is important to understand that things have nature. I did get to briefly mention this during the debate, but you can talk about a chair that has 4 legs, and then you can break that chair, right? You can break a leg of that chair and say, oh, well, now that chair has 3 legs. Is it still a chair? Yes. Does it have 4 legs? No. But when we talk about the chair, we will say, oh, the nature of a chair of that type is to have 4 legs. So things have nature, and the nature of a human being is the rational being. It is both the human body and the rational soul. Both men and women have these 2 components. The only difference is that women have the female body and men have the male body, but they both have the rational soul. And that is the simple nature of humans. So just because a child, a young child, 1 day old, 2 days old, just because a 10-year-old doesn't have the intellectual capabilities or has the rational capabilities, the emotional development that I may have or Alec may have, doesn't mean that they are not of the human species. In the same way, it does not mean that the child in the womb who does not have anything or is not fully developed in the way I am is not of the same species that I belong to. So, yeah, things do really have fully developed natures, and we can recognize that and still say that those that are not yet fully developed are still of our species. But again, I appreciate the conversation, and that's all I've got.
All right, thank you, James, for that closing statement. And now, Alec, it is your turn to make your closing statement. You have 5 minutes, and you can start whenever.
Yeah, sure. So, basically, when I have these arguments, I like to argue about the practical consequences of outlawing abortion, because the practical consequences, 13-year-olds and even as young as 10-year-olds, which happen in Ohio, by the way, will be forced to give birth, and I don't like that. I think that it's icky to do that, and apparently my opponent disagrees, but so c'est la vie. Once the reality is that it happens. All right, you can't just legislate away rapists. You can't do that. So the reality is that it happens. And so I believe that it is morally abhorrent to try to force a 13-year-old through that. Like I said, on top of homework, trying to do sports and hang out with friends, maybe play video games or something, like just being a kid. Like, what happened to let kids be kids, man? Like, this just seems very dark. Frankly, like a dark reality that supposed pro-lifers want. I don't like to call them pro-lifers. I like to call them forced birthers, because that's what they are at the end of the day. Forced birthers. If you get pregnant, I'm sorry, man, that sucks. But hey, even though there's a way to stop it, now you're forced to carry it. You have that responsibility on you. If there were a way to extract the fetus or the embryo or whatever at the moment of conception and have it live, then I'd say you have a case. But I'm sorry, the mom has bodily autonomy, and that's all I care about. It's her body, and therefore, if you can save a fetus past like 24 weeks, I think you should do that. Okay? I think that at that point, it gets, a peg up on the morality scale. But until that happens, it's fair game. I'm sorry. Like, I just don't care that much about it. It has no brain. It has no neural structures that would indicate that it's at all human. It can't live on its own. It can't think. It can't breathe. It can't do anything. And so I don't consider its life to have begun yet. Certainly not before 24 weeks, but even after that, it's still parasitizing off the mother, something which, once again, you said that I'm not allowed to do. And so what you want to do is give more rights to fetuses than to humans, or to people, I should say. And I just don't agree with that. And another thing is, on that topic, we kept conflating the words human and people. And this is another thing that I like that pro-lifers love to do a lot, is conflate those two words, human and person. When we speak colloquially, we're talking about those two interchangeably typically. But the reality is that those are two separate concepts. You can have something that's human without it being a person, like I said with skin cells, right? It's a human skin cell. We could consider that human, but it's not a person. And I feel the same way about a zygote. It is simply not a person. It has something that would indicate that it's a person. It is simply a cell, or maybe a clump of cells at best, swimming around in the embryo with its little life jacket attached to the mom, feeding off of it all the way along. Okay? It's a parasite. And if the only real distinction you make between an embryo and like a tapeworm is the species, then you are acknowledging the fact that, yes, it is engaged in parasitic activity, whether you like it or not. And I just think that the mom has the right to remove it. So don't force 13-year-olds to give birth. I think that's gross. And that's about it. I really appreciate having you on, though, James. Thank you so much for being here. I felt like that was a good faith conversation. And we made a lot of headway for sure. So I always enjoy these discussions. So thank you again. And thank you, Nathan, for being such a good moderator. I appreciate you.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to discuss a different issue at a different time.
Sure. Sounds good. Hit me up.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording, guys. I know Alec's still streaming. But yeah, thank you, Alec, for participating. I really do appreciate it. I think we went at it, but I think we respect each other, at least on this side. So
yeah, absolutely. It was a good conversation. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna bounce out of here. Have a nice stream, hopefully. And again, if you want the footage, I'm more than happy to give you all the videos. But it's up to you.
I appreciate it. I have my own. I think I'll be good. But thank you.
Awesome. All right, man. Have a good day.
All right, you as well. See ya.
Yep.
Thank you, Alec.
Well, alrighty. How'd we do, folks? It was certainly a conversation. I'd say so. I'd say that's a fair statement. It's so nice that I can do that now. Holy shit. Good job. Thank you. Pretty decent. I thought I did pretty good. I thought I hit the important talking points. I thought I made him look pretty bad. He held off just going to the Bible until the end. A human fetus isn't even close to being a human being. It's developing and parasitic organism. I agree. And again, I'm not allowed to attach, but I thought that snackies bit was really funny. I thought that was really funny. Just gotta get a little humor in there, you know what I mean? I'm not allowed to have snackies for mommy. Why can't I have mommy snackies? Thank you for asking about if a human can just attach onto you. The debate did become too spicy. Well, it has to, because, again, you guys cannot let them get away from the reality that they are forcing children through pregnancy. You cannot let them get away with that, okay? It is the crucial part of this entire operation, is that we cannot let 14-year-olds and 13-year-olds and 10-year-olds get pregnant and give birth, okay? If they get pregnant, which they will, it's just a thing that happens that we must contend with. We can reduce it, even though conservatives don't want to. But when that happens, we have to deal with it. And so to deal with it, they want to force those people through pregnancy, okay? The spiciness is the whole point. Make them eat the dish they're making. Exactly. So they can call it fringe all they want. They can say that they should punish the rapist all they want. By the way, that's a talking point fed to them by the churches. All right? If you don't believe me, think about it. Matt Walsh made that point. They all tried to make the same point. Well, we should punish the rapist, but when it comes to, punishing the baby, it's like it's not about punishing. They have a punishment fetish, man. It's disgusting. Like, nobody's trying to punish anybody, except for the rapist, of course. All we're trying to do is make it so you're punishing the woman, I'd argue. You're punishing the woman. Or whoever happens to be pregnant. Maybe it's a child, once again. Maybe it's a trans man. But the ultimate point is you are forcing that person to give birth, okay? There's a way to stop the pregnancy. You're saying they can't, so you're forcing it. Regardless of whether you like it or not, you are forcing it. You did a good job staying on point and not accepting his framing. I thought it was also a pretty Chad move that I completely denied the chance to cross-examine or whatever. Like, he's sitting there playing 20 questions with me, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I guess, maybe, right? And I'm just like, can we skip that part for me? Like, I don't need all that. I didn't do it to be Chad. I just didn't want to do the cross-examination. I was just like, can we just talk, That was bullshit. It's fine. Like, it doesn't make me look good or bad. You ate, thank you. I think I did too. Not from mommy, of course, but hey, there you go. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, hit the notification bell to be notified when I upload. If you enjoy my content, you enjoy what I do, I really appreciate any financial help that I can get. Go to youtube.com/AlecGunterTTV/join. You got some awesome benefits, such as seeing early videos, awesome emotes that you can use in the comments of YouTube videos, and a sweet badge next to your name. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'd really appreciate if you join. It is cheaper than the cost of a blowjob from your mom. So with all that being said, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.